I'm live. Hello everyone, I'm Siyuan from the Peony Girl, and welcome to our Peony of the Month chat show. Let me let me invite Binny Plants. Just bear with me. Hello, Heath.
Merry Christmas. Well, it's a little bit early, but Merry Christmas.
Oh, you have the Santa's hat on already. Jolly good, jolly. Hello, Stephen. Hello. Oh, hello, everyone's coming in now. I'm so excited.
Oh, I feel self-conscious now.
Yes. So how are you?
Good, busy, cold, all those things. But yeah, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I can't believe it's the end of the year already, and we're doing the Peony of the Month chat show in December.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. I was talking to my folks back in New Zealand yesterday, and they were saying how glorious their peonies are looking at the moment, which is quite weird.
Well, hello everyone, evening everyone. Thank you for
Hello.
joining. I'm Siyuan from the Peony Girl, and over there we have Heath on behalf of Binny Plants. Well, this is the first Peony of the Month live show, but it is the last Peony of the Month this year. So we thought we make this a special. And I'm so glad there are so many people joining us. Hello, Sarah. I to be honest, when we started this in January, it was a casual chat with yourself, with Billy, and we thought, oh, we want to celebrate peonies, especially after the lockdown last year. We couldn't go out. We still sort of we were still dreaming about having peonies, going outdoors, etc., etc. So that's why we wanted to do this project, Peony of the Month. From your background, horticultural background, talk about each different peonies, and from art background, it was my challenge to paint a peony every month, and unfortunately Jens cannot join us today because it's a busy period for him to arrange flowers, and he gave us a lot of good advice for our you know, how to decorate your home with peonies. So I feel that we have achieved a lot this year, and we carried on doing introduced 12 peonies this year. Yeah, I just feel mission accomplished.
The year has gone incredibly fast. I mean, everybody be in the same boat. The last 18 months, 2 years just seem to have disappeared with everything that's going on. And having the Peony of the Month has been quite good as a sort of a marker to go, okay, another month's gone, another month's gone, another month's gone. And it sort of keeps track of things, even though it does seem to be slightly weird to be talking about peonies at this time of year in terms of their bloom, but it is actually the perfect time of year to be planting them, of course. And we plug on behalf of Binny's. Binny's are absolutely flat out sending out the new season's peonies at the moment. They've just had another big delivery come in from their suppliers, and some amazing little private growers and things who've got just incredible roots that are coming in.
Wow. And
getting those in the ground at the moment is just the perfect time for them to set them off for the spring. I've just done a few for some clients in our gardens for the design work we do. So it still makes sense to me to be talking about peonies with you even now, even though we are in the depths of winter. But
Well, it always makes sense to talk about peonies. So, talking about peonies, obviously, we introduced one peony every month this year, and I kind of, on my Instagram, I have kind of given people a sneak peek this afternoon what the peony of the month is. So because it's Christmas, because Christmas is approaching, we have chosen a special peony called Peony Peonia Christmas Velvet. So here she is.
beautiful, absolutely stunning.
Thank you. I love the color, and I'm wearing the peony color today as well.
Can I just quickly ask you, how long did that take you to paint?
It depends, but usually it's about a week. I paint in the evenings, so it takes about a week of evenings to do these, plus some weekends. So, but it's, to me, it's doing the peonies is my meditation, and I calm myself, and I'm lost in painting the peonies, especially these little petals in the center.
Yeah, that's really intricate stuff.
Thank you. And they're complicated, and it's my challenge to see, oh, can I figure out the difference of this petal from the other petal, or can I really figure out how they actually grow? So yeah, I absolutely enjoy the process.
It's probably a good opportunity to talk about Christmas velvet, because you've captured the colour really well there. It's a very, very velvety, dark red, rich red, very Christmassy colour to it, obviously because of the name. But it's, as you can tell from the amazing painting you've done there, that the flower is a real bomb of a thing. It's a semi-double, masses these sort of petaloids in the middle, and it's actually quite a big peony. It gets about 90 centimetres, and it's a heavy flower, both in terms of it has quite a heavy head, like most peonies do, especially the doubles, but it also has a massive flowering too. So it's a really good choice if you like your deep dark reds. It's, in the peony world, they class it as a mid-season peony. As I've mentioned before, there's not a big difference between an early, mid, late. It's a matter of a couple of weeks, but it is what you class as a mid-season peony. So again, if you like your reds, it's really hard to go past this one.
To me, this red is very bright, and I can imagine why it's named as Christmas velvet, because it gives that Christmassy brightness, uplift, energetic, and the celebration. And I think compared to the other peonies I've painted, I deliberately made this really big as well, because as you mentioned, they are big peonies, and also it's a bomb. So I thought, let's just go all out and make it a celebration. And I can imagine in the garden design, which you're the expert in this field, that with this peony in your garden, it really stands out and draw your eye to that center point, to that red central point.
Yeah, I think with a really rich, deep red colour like that, you really want to surround it with dark green leaves, because of the fact that it does draw the eye so much, and it's such a stunning colour. You don't want to overwhelm it with other colours. I think just keep it really subdued. I've said this before with a lot of these peonies, but particularly in this case, it's that classic dark rich red with a dark green. You get dark green as well as you got dark green in the peony leaves, but then other plants around it. So it may be some of the ferns, some of the dark grasses, some of the caryxes. You could even go for a long low underneath it, just some subtle blues or mauves, such as Geranium Roseanne, or any of those sort of blues and dark greens. That sort of palette range would really set this off. An interesting point too, talking about the dark red and thinking of this time of year with planting peonies. If you're planting peonies at this time of year, you'll notice the really fat little buds on the top, which is obviously going to be your flower buds for next year. And a wee side tip, if you're buying peonies, look for 3 to 5 eyes at least, which is at least 3 to 5 of those buds. That way you're more than likely going to get flowers for that first year. Be careful of some of the supermarket buys where you'll get these very cheap peonies, and they tend to be, if you have a look through the plastic packet, there tends to be, you'll be lucky to find one bud, and to be honest, you're going to be waiting for a long time for that to flower. Sidetrack aside.
Advice.
That pink bud, that's one thing that a lot of people forget, is that when those buds come up in the spring, you can get quite a rich range. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I can be pretty sure that this that Christmas velvet, when it comes up in the spring, is going to be really, really dark red stems, and just the stems alone are stunning. You'll get others that are more pinky as they come up, some that are bronzy as they come up out of the ground, and some that are more green. But that still, because it moves so fast when they're growing at that time of year, still gives you some real interesting colour at that time of year.
Absolutely. I think talking about a spring and the peony start to grow, I remember since we started this project, I pay a lot more attention to peonies, not just the flowers, but the leaves, the stem, and it all starts from like late January and early February. You start to see the shoots coming out of the ground, and those are very beautiful, the purpley red and soft shoots coming out of the ground, and you just see them grow stronger and stronger, become stem and the shoots, the buds, and come to massive flowers like this.
You're going to kill me for this, but I think you need to challenge in that you need to do a life cycle series of paintings where you have the root with its bud through to the new emerging shoots, to the semi-grown, to the full bloom, to the gone over. You're probably going to kill me for that, but I think you could do a stunning job of it.
I will. No, actually, that's a really good point. That's what I was thinking about doing this year. Obviously, this is our first year of doing the Peony of the Month, and also a sidetrack that I asked on Instagram whether people would like to see more Peony of the Month next year, and 100% people, yes. So my plan for next year on the painting side for the Peony of the Month is really study the peonies from when they come out of the ground, the whole life cycle, and also the leaves, and it also in autumn like this, when the leaves dry and dying, and still beautiful colors, red colors and curled, and the shape and the fluidity of those stems, and I'm just fascinated about them. And definitely very good suggestion, but still I'm going to kill you for that.
I mean, again, going back to the leaves, it's another thing, probably more so in regards to the intersectional peonies or the Ito peonies, is that you can quite often get a bit of colour. I think when we were at Chelsea this year, there were some of the Ito peonies were already starting to turn at that stage, and you were starting to get hints of sort of burgundy and pinks and mauves and sort of russets and things like that. Which they're not sort of like, your classic maple or red oak type colour, but it's still an interesting sort of colour, just as another palette to the garden.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So talking about different types of peonies, herbaceous peonies, intersectional peonies, and tree peonies, we have covered quite a lot of different varieties this year. Oh, well, 12, one each month. And I was saying to my friends that obviously I'm going to carry on painting more peonies from Binny Plants nursery, and it turns out there are over 300 varieties, and it will take me 30 years. It's a job for life.
Not a bad job.
Definitely. We've got a question here from Ross Rosso. I always worry about my leaves as I fear they get rust. Can this occur? And if so, any advice?
I think in that situation, probably a couple of things. It's pretty hard to describe it over this, but I'll try my best. If you're getting rust in your peonies, depending on when you're getting it, I mean, herbaceous peonies in particular will start to what they call senesce, which means they start to draw back after the finished flowering. So probably from July going back into the autumn, they'll just continuously start to sort of get a bit aged and weary, and that's when your other plants in the garden start to take over. So if you're getting a bit of rust, then it's probably just part of the natural cycle. If you're getting rust before they flower, it could be a sign of they're in an area where they're not getting enough air movement, or they're a little bit, the humidity's a wee bit high around them. So it could be, like I said, air movement, or it could be they're getting partly shaded. But if they're out in the open and they're getting plenty of air movement, that should be fine. So if you're getting rust later on in the season, it's just part of its natural cycle. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But something we always say to all the clients and people in the gardening world around peonies, at the end of the season, so by now really, don't panic if you haven't done it, is take all those dead leaves away. Taking those dead leaves now, cut them off, cut them right to the ground. It A, lets the cold back into those buds to trigger the flowering for next year. B, it helps get rid of any, it reduces the likelihood of disease such as botrytis and rust and any of the fungal diseases and bacteria that may harbour in that sort of damp leaf litter that's around it. So get rid of those leaves, burn them, compost them, and keep the area around that crown where the buds are, keep them quite clean so that there's less chance of any disease occurring the following spring. We're always saying that peonies are generally quite tough and they're determined to grow. So again, those key elements I've always talked about is planting them in the open and full sun. Obviously not in full wind, they don't like wind too much. Full sun, don't have too much competition around the base so that they've got every chance to do their own thing, and don't plant the crowns too deep. So those three things, if you've got those three things, you're going to be pretty successful with them. So thank you very much for the question. That's a good question.
Yes, absolutely. And for everyone who is watching, please feel free to send questions, peony related, peony planting, how to look after peonies, where to buy peonies, peony art, anything that we can help. Talking about looking after peonies, you mentioned the area of peonies, especially herbaceous and intersectional. Are these peonies, the way to look after them are the same? What about tree peonies?
There is subtle differences between the three. Probably the most obvious one is the difference, if we go to the extremes, the difference between the herbaceous peony, which is your commonly seen garden peony, and your tree peony. The hint's in the name, really. Tree peony it's a large shrub to a small tree it grows into. They generally pretty much take care of themselves. So when you're planting them, it's the same aspect as you just plant the crowns near the surface of the soil. Don't bury them too deep. The tree peonies, once they take off and start getting bigger and bigger and grow into the small tree, large shrub, and it's just a really case of feeding them at the right time. So very simple feeding, around the base in the spring when they're starting to come into bud, and again after the flower to feed the plant for the following year's flowering. For the trees, obviously, for the herbaceous peonies, you obviously cut them down to the ground now, like I said. For the trees, obviously don't do that unless the tree is getting very, very old and it's got bits of dieback in the crown, which can happen with old peonies. There is a slight exception to that, is that there is the Peony Lutea, which is quite commonly seen as a very, very strong growing. It tends to have a single yellow flower as a tree peony. It tends to be very robust and have big, tall stalks and multiple stalks. That one, I would say, just trim out the old canes probably anything that's past about, I would say, 3 or 4 years old. Just trim some of those out and let those younger canes come through and keep that flowering, keep the plant healthy. With an older tree peony, you cut out if you're starting to get a lot of growth lower down the plant and the top's starting to die back. It's a sign the plant's wanting to be reinvigorated. So you can cut that dead stuff out, give it a feed, and let the plant start to boost out new shoots from the base. For your herbaceous peony, as I said, just cut them down to the ground, feeding them the same. So feeding in the spring when they come up, another feeding when they're flowering, probably about July. Certainly don't feed them now. It's not a good time to feed them because the plants are shutting themselves down for the winter, so that it's a waste of feed. But certainly those two key times to give them a feed then. If you're looking at the Ito peonies or the intersectional peonies, they're the hybrid between the herbaceous and the tree. Sort of a mix between the two. They've got that strong stem of the tree peony because the stems are very woody. So they'll grow like crazy in spring, and amazing strong stems that come up, just incredible. Once they've finished flowering, leave them. They'll form a nice little structured bush that doesn't need staking. Big advantage of the intersectional peonies. It'll still look good, and then in autumn, which is most of the leaves are gone now, they'll turn a bit of colour with them, as I said, with sort of russets and mauves and pinks and things. Once those leaves are gone, then cut them. Sounds harsh because these plants, when they're full height, will be about 3.5, 4 foot tall. Wow. Cut all of those hard canes back to the ground so you'll be left with a big stump, and you'll see all these pink buds all over the stump. That's what will grow back next year. So don't be afraid to just cut those ones back to the ground.
Great, excellent. And actually, this year we introduced, or we talked about 12 peonies, and they are a mix of intersectional, herbaceous and tree peonies. So I'm going to show all the peonies that we talked about. So this is the Ito peony Hillary, which was the first peony we painted. We talked about it, and this is intersectional peony, and I think this was voted the peony of the year by the American Peony Society.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So this started our new year 2021, and this was a lovely rose. So that, if I remember correctly, it's a herbaceous peony.
Yes.
Yes. And we chose this peony because of it was February, and for the Valentine's Day, and they look like rose, and they're really sweet peonies, not those typical big blousy peonies.
So not a nice simple one, that, and of course it was chosen for Valentine's, but no, really nice simple. And we're noticing too that there's more and more people going to the simple flowers now. I don't know whether it's partly to do with the pollinator thing, or whether it's just people are looking for a little bit more simplicity in their plants. there's people for all types, and there's beauty in every type. And there's one in there I know you're going to show that's not quite my favourite, but everybody has their own sense of beauty with these peonies. So.
Well, since I started this project, I learned so much about different types of peonies. And traditionally for me, my favorites are the doubles and the bomb, because as I mentioned earlier, I enjoy painting a lot of petals and get lost in the petals. But with this project, especially to show the next one, which was a peony of the month March, that was early windflower. When I painted this, I was stunned by how beautiful they are with their simplicity. And I start to realize that, like, the peony has such a wide variety that you can appreciate them in all fronts, like simplicity, the color, different shapes of leaves, and different fragrance as well, and different shades of pink, different shades of yellow. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, the good thing with early windflower, again, it's quite a simple bloom, but it's also due to the name, it's early in the peony world. It's one of the first to flower. It's also quite tolerant of all the peonies, and I know this goes against what we normally say about planted peonies in full sun, but it's one of the few that can handle slightly shady areas. So I think I remember at the time we talked about this was it's a good option if you were, say, for instance, from a design point of view, if you have the word right, you were wanting to do a more sort of naturalistic setting for, say, if you had an old orchard or something like that, or you know, fruit trees with nothing. The light's not too heavy; it's quite dappled sort of light. These would do really well in a sort of wild setting like that. If you had some sort of meadowy, not too dense growth going on, and these guys popping up in wee clumps around through it would look absolutely stunning.
Yes, and I think the reason we chose this flower for March was because the spring was just coming, and we wanted this light flower just gently take us to spring. The flowers around us were just start to bloom, but not so what's the word, not like summer, all different colors, all different flowers everywhere. So we wanted to introduce a simple flower into the spring that we were looking forward to. So the next one,
yeah, I mean, it's a perfect companion. Sorry, no, I was just going to say it is that perfect sort of companion because of the way it looks with that single white for things like fruit tree blossoms, apple blossoms, cherry blossoms, as well as the things like snowdrops and the white sort of palette of plants of that in that time of year.
Yes. Is this a herbaceous peony?
Yes, it's a herbaceous peony.
So then we went into April. In April, we introduced a yellow Untitled Peony, Garden Treasure. And the reason we introduced this peony was because of Easter and yellow Easter. And I remember yellow is Yen's favorite color, and he would love to have a sea of yellow peonies. I remember that.
Yeah, it's Garden Treasure is for a yellow peony, and it can sort of be a bit hit and miss on yellow colours in the garden, but as a yellow peony, it is a stunner. It's quite similar looking in some ways to Bartzella, which was a big hit a few years ago, which is another Ito peony. But Garden Treasure is absolutely stunning with that sort of almost orangey centre to it.
Yes, yes. In May, we actually had 3 peonies, but I painted one of them. Is this a very simple but elegant Sonoma Velvet Ruby. So back in May this year, we went to Royal Hospital Chelsea. Because Chelsea Flower Show was delayed to autumn this year, we decided to bring some peonies to the pensioners to bring some color, bring some joy to them while they couldn't have a May Chelsea Flower Show. And I still remember it was a really fun day out for us. Meeting the pensioners and also Rick Glenn, the head gardener there, and they didn't even have a peony in the garden.
No, and I mean they've got peonies now, and they were just about to come into bud at the time, I remember, and then Rick sent some photographs a week, 10 days later, and they were in full bloom. They look stunning.
Yes, and those were Buckeye Bell. And that was the red peonies we planted in their garden. And this one is the one I chose to paint. And also Jens made a stunning peony wreath. I think it was Command, what was it? Command Performance. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And for this Sonoma Velvet Ruby, is this also a oh, thank you for sending the hearts. Is this also a intersectional peony?
Yes, it is.
And Buckeye
Bell has an herbaceous peony.
Herbaceous Peony. How about Command Performance?
That's a herbaceous peony as well.
Peony.
Yeah.
So
I mean, again, it's those reds, but it's again a different type of red. It's again slightly simple, and that was part of the reason why we chose that, wasn't it? Was because it's in relation to the poppy and remembrance and that sort of thing with Chelsea pensioners. So
yes, I think there were 2 reasons for us to choose simple peonies. One was we wanted to bring something which resemble poppies and red, so that was one of the reasons. And the other was we want to have the simple peonies so the center opens up to attract more bees and butterflies, which would be really nice. Unfortunately, we didn't see any photos with peonies and butterflies and bees, but I'm sure there were lots of them when they opened.
I'm glad you're actually mentioning some of these things, because it's jogging my memory with some of the questions we get asked quite a lot at Chelsea about peonies. And one of them, speaking of bees and butterflies and insects, is that a question we get quite often is people who are seeing ants on their flower buds of peonies, and they get worried about what the ants are doing. Are the ants harming them? Are they destroying the buds? Are they chewing on the petals? Simple answer is no. The ants are not doing any harm at all. What the ants are doing is that just as the peonies are getting ripe to ready to open that bud up, they start exuding, it's not nectar, it's just a sort of sugary substance, which is as the flower is developing, and that's what the ants are there for. They're looking for that sugary substance. So they go up onto the head of the ball and they start tapping it, and they start looking for that sugary substance to come out of the head, and then they're collecting it. So they don't touch the flower at all. It's just an indicator when you see them on there, and you quite often see the bees start to land on them too. And when the bees are doing that, you know that the peony is about to open. So yeah, simple answer is that ants are fine.
Great. And they're really sweet. And I always watch them look as if they're looking for something. Now I know they're looking for sweeties from the peonies, and they're just going everywhere. And it's kind of like they're in the peony world. I wish I was that tiny. I can just wander around in the peony petals. So we talked a lot about before June. We talked a lot about herbaceous peonies and intersectional peonies, and in June we introduced this tree peonies.
That is, you have to forgive me here because I can't pronounce the name of that one without making a fool of myself anyways.
This it's called Shonjuku. It's a Japanese tree peony, and it's the peony that in my garden has grown for 4 to 5 years, and it's opened first time this year.
I remember when you did that we did the recording in your garden, and the leaves looked stunning on it, and the buds were huge.
Yes. So these are the leaves from the garden, and then that's the head, the center of the flower. And talking about the center of the flower, one of my Facebook follower, Helen Spring, we had a really good discussion about the seed pot, and she called it Jester's hat.
It do look like it.
It is very much like a Jester's hat. So this is one of my favorites in the garden, and this is one of my favorites in the whole year's collection. And this is the only tree peony that we introduced this year. And in next year, we will introduce a lot more tree peonies starting January. Spoiler alert.
I mean, the good thing is that the tree peonies they've developed them a lot. I mean, there was quite a reasonable range of tree peonies beforehand, but people have had difficulties with them in the past in terms of the reliability, the flowering, their longevity, things like that. But the new ones coming through now are incredibly strong, really good specimens. I've just recently seen the new ones come into Binny's, and they're looking stunning. So if you are looking for a tree peony, they've got some absolute stunners in there at the moment. So have a look through the catalogue. If you can't find anything in the catalogue, give them a ring, and they will probably be able to find you. If they haven't got it exactly, they'll find you something very close.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, tree peonies are stunning, and we will be talking a lot more tree peonies next year. So that was June. And July, we introduced a classic peony, Festival Maxima. And that was one of the peonies I have in my garden. And you nicknamed this peony with the rest jam dipped in the center.
I mean, that's, to my mind, that's the way I see it, is that it's a big, blousy, multiple petaled white, creamy white flower that's quite amazing on its own. And then when you actually take a second look at it, you see that there is actually these dribbles of red through the center of it that looks like somebody's dropped drops of raspberry jam in the center of it. It's the only way I can describe it, and I still stick by it. So.
Well, we have our nickname for this particular peony, and it's fragrant as well.
It is. Not all peonies are fragrant, but that is one of the fragrant peonies. If you're looking for fragrant peonies, have a look at the Binny's catalogue. They have a list of fragrant peonies in there. So there's enough there. I think you can choose something of the colour that you want that's still going to have fragrance.
I always had this impression that peonies doesn't have any fragrance until again, this year, I learned so much about different types of peonies, and surprised to see how many of them have really nice rosy scent.
There's well, one of my favorite for scents is, well, there's actually two. One of them is honey gold, which has a real honey scent to it. It's just honey. It's hard to beat.
Brilliant. And then I think we are coming to your favorite peony. Ta-da! So that's that is
Green Goblin.
But I found it very fascinating. It's a green peony. This is the herbaceous peony, isn't it?
It is. It is. Green lotus, if I remember rightly.
Lotus, yes, absolutely.
I'm trying to forget it. No, I'm being harsh. It's just I'm not a big fan of green flowers. My partner loves green flowers, so there's a slight sort of dispute going on there. But yeah, there is, when you see it painted like that, you can actually see the beauty in it. I'm still not sold on it, but it's one of those things that it's an interesting plant, and it could look stunning in the right setting too.
Yeah, I found this fascinating. When I chose this peony, first I saw the picture on Binny Plants website. This one from distance looked like a cabbage or cauliflower, but then I saw this one. It's very elegant, and what fascinates me, apart from its green, it actually had so many different colors in it. You have yellow, orange, and when the flowers start to wilt, it starts to become pink on the top of the petal. So it's very dynamic and unusual for me.
And it actually has quite an interesting way in the way it deteriorates. It sounds terrible, but even as it starts to fall apart and go past its best, as the petals sort of drop off and one by one, it sort of deconstructs itself in quite an interesting way.
Yeah, that's why peony is beautiful in every single way. And then came to September peony. This is a very special peony to us. Obviously, September was this year's Chelsea Flower Show. Both of us were exhibiting at Chelsea Flower Show, and this peony brought us to our fun memory back in 2019 when we first collaborated and we met the Queen. And this was the peony that Billy presented to Her Majesty.
Yeah, the reason for that was, it's an absolute stunning plant. I mean, you've captured it really well there, but when you see it in real life as well, it's got that, it's almost a silver pink to it. It's a really stunning, pewtery, silvery, pink, blousy, almost like an over-the-top wedding dress, but in a very elegant way, if that makes sense. But Blushing Princess?
Yes.
Remember rightly? Just to make sure I get the name right. It's actually, when we first exhibited it 2 years ago, there's not many of them around, so it was quite an expensive one. And Billy has got a few of them on the nursery, so if you can try and hunt them out, they are there. They are a bit on the pricey side, but it's worth it because there's not many of them around. Billy's managed to get them from a very good contact of his. And that's one of the things with Billy at Binny's, is that he's got amazing contacts that not many people have, because he's just an amazing guy. Sidetrack again. But it is such a, when you see it, you just can't help but going, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember when we were doing the chat show back in September, you used the word like the Victorian's ruffle, just like that. And I love the the pink color. It was like porcelain pink. So it's not a hot pink that really catch your eyes. But it's quietly sitting there, but elegantly presenting itself.
Yeah, it's a real translucent sort of a porcelain, as you said. And it's, if I was doing this, I'm not probably the most romantic guy in the world, but in terms of if I was setting this in a garden, I think you just go all out for a romantic setting with cottage roses and delicate geraniums, like sort of Derek Cook would be a perfect match for that. Some really soft grasses and ferns and very light sort of pinpricky flowers around would just be amazing.
Yes, yes. So if you want a romantic garden, go and order this one. And in October, we have Goldilocks. So is this another herbaceous peony?
That's a good point. Yes, it is, I think. You've caught me on this one. I'll have to double check, but I think it is.
I think the reason we chose this one is because of its color. Obviously, in April, we chose a yellow peony, which was Untitled Peony, yellow garden treasure. And this peony has a slightly different yellow tone to garden treasure. And for me as an artist, I like this one partly because of the shape, the complex of the petals. Also, I feel there is a little green tone in yellow compared to the orange tone in the garden treasure.
Yeah, it's almost, from my mind anyway, it's almost your classic sort of Chinese peony. If you see a peony on a Chinese vase or an ancient silk work or something, that's the sort of peony that springs to my mind, is that sort of color and shape.
Yes, that's why earlier, as I mentioned, to me, before I started this project, to me, my type of peonies are the doubles, the bomb, this classic traditional Chinese type, well, what you think of as Chinese peonies. But now I'm just in love with all kinds of peonies.
Am I right in thinking that that sort of goldy yellow is a royal colour?
Yes, that's right. So in the Chinese culture, the golden yellow represents it's an imperial colour. So the king, the empress wear wool yellow, and then no one else can wear that colour. So that represents gold, Goldilocks, and harvest, prosperity. So that's the meaning of that color.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I think that's also part of the reason we chose this one for October as well. Harvest,
yeah.
to fruition. And then, do you remember we were singing in the rain in November?
Yeah, I spared people from my singing because that wouldn't have been, it would sort of ruin the whole thing. And probably the neighbours would have killed me in the process. Yeah, no, it's, and what I like about what you've done with this one is that you've got the seed pods and the leaves in there as well, which is a good nod to the time of year when we did it.
So in this painting, the leaf was this one from my garden. Obviously, this has dried out compared to the time I was painting it. But as I mentioned earlier, I love the colors and shape of the leaves. And I thought with the composition and with the color choice, this leaf would work really well with the coral peonies, and this is the only coral peonies that we've done this year in this peony of the month 2020.
Yeah, and the great thing about corals for people who may not have come across them before, and we are certainly noticing they're becoming extremely popular, is that all the corals have this habit of, they start off when they first open up as a really corally pink, your classic sort of, I don't know what you call it, a sort of a orangey pink, and then they start fading out as they open up and mature. They fade out and they go through phases of sort of coral to like a rich coral pink to a pink to a more an apricot to a sort of a silver to basically a bleach white by the time it finishes. So on the same plant you can have 4 or 5 different colours, but they all harmonise because they're coming from the same colour palette.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And like, I call coral peonies are the magician of the peony world. The first time when I saw coral peonies changing colors, I was so excited. I thought, I've got more than one peonies in my vase.
Yeah, we quite often get that at Chelsea when we have them on display as people, because we normally group so that people can see a good solid group of the same plant in each section. Often they'll ask us about the corals and say, as you know, you've got different types in that same one. It's like, no, it's actually the same plant. It's just that if you come yesterday, those ones would have been different colour. If you come the day before, they would have been a different colour again.
Yes.
It's just one of those things. It's actually, the name a coral peony sounds slightly dull, but when you actually see them, they're quite special.
Definitely. And for all our audience, if you want to see coral peonies in every stage, come to see us every single day so you can capture colours.
If not, and you're in Scotland, the best time to go and see all of these peonies plus hundreds more in full bloom around about end of the second week of June. We're a bit later up here in Scotland than further south, but at Binny's, there's all the display gardens around the walls with peonies of all different types, plus all of the potted peonies are in bloom as well. So come second week of June and you'll be blown away.
I will be first one up there.
Yes, you still need to make it for them.
Yes, yes. And then come to our sorry.
You've gone backwards.
Star of this month, peony of the month. So that's Christmas Velvet. Once again, we just love the color of this peony, and it's a really big peony, herbaceous peony, and it's so cheerful, and the name is just right, Christmas Velvet.
It's absolutely perfect. And I mean, I know we're in the middle of winter here, so we can't get peonies, but we plug for friends who have got who are peony growers back in New Zealand. They're actually importing peonies at the moment, and particularly the peony growers have kept behind dark reds such as Christmas Velvet and whites because of this time of year. Right. And partly too because of our cousins across the ditch in North America. Thanksgiving is perfect time for them too. So there's still plenty of peonies coming up from the Southern Hemisphere. And so if you are looking for amazing plants for your vase for Christmas to wow all your relatives and neighbours and friends, go and look for some peonies.
Definitely. Or you can get some peony art or peony prints. So these were a whole year's collection of original paintings, and to me it was a journey. It was a journey to study different types of peonies, but also enjoy them, and also I have created a small collection of postcard set. There are 12 postcards, one each month that we introduced, and all from the paintings. And this is the Christmas one.
Perfect. And perfect for putting on a Christmas present as a card on the outside.
Yes, and also you can frame them as well. And because it's 12, it's easy to frame them and to put a tile of peony wall, the wall of peonies.
And speaking of a wall of peonies, you couldn't have done that better actually. Reminded me, you have to show them your wallpaper, because this wallpaper blows me away. I think it's absolutely stunning.
Thank you. Well, I wasn't going to talk about it because this is something we will be seriously launching next year. But for all our audience today, I can show a little sneak peek of customized wallpaper and wall murals. So this is just to give you I think this is your favorite, Heath.
Yeah, it's just stunning. It just sets it off so well.
Thank you. And this one is based on January and May peonies this year. So Hillary Ital and Sonoma Velvet Ruby. So you can see the different types of wallpapers. This is a texture. I don't know if you can see on the video.
Yeah, next to that.
The normal wallpaper. And obviously this is your favorite peony. So this is based on my Chinese painting. So Qingwazi painting from a really big painting, and the little birds from that painting as well. So you have different peonies over here. And this one, again, is based on my Qingwazi painting, the Chinese painting. And this was a red peony in the Chinese painting style. The difference between the Chinese painting style and the paintings that I just shown, the ones for the peony of the month are botanical paintings. So these are botanical paintings which I look for the accuracy of the peonies. So the plants, I respect the petals, the leaves. But for the Qingwazi paintings, the Chinese paintings, it's more of my sort of my freestyle. I'm not really worried about whether the leaves should be here or there. It's more of expression of or give them a personality of different peonies. So this peony is a red portrait peony, which you can find on my website, really to give the peony a sort of feminine gesture, and also the style and a personality to it. So that's the difference between my botanical art and Chinese art.
Yeah. So in terms of, you say you're launching these next year, are they available now if anyone's interested in them?
They are not officially launched on my website yet, but you can order, you can message me, either DM me on Instagram or send me a message on the website. They're all customized, so they're not off the shelf. And what I will do with people is send me some photos or your ideas of how you want your room looks like, and we will pick and discuss together from the existing paintings that I have. So they're not designed as a off-the-shelf product. It's more customized, and how big you want the patterns, how big you want the flowers, etc., etc. So for example, this one, you can have really big flowers, and some of the wallpaper, you can have smaller flowers. So it's all customized for people.
Wow, yeah, quite stunning.
This one is quite sweet, and I love this one.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Flowers, but the leaves from this painting is from the tree peony Shongjuku that we did in June, and I just love the green leaves it has.
Yeah, it's quite a stunning pattern, just going for the green leaf like that.
Yes, and it has a combination of this is the tree peony leaf, and this was from January Peony of the Month, Hillary Ito. So it's a intersectional peony leaf, and the jester's hat. So this is quite girly. So again, this came from a Chinese painting. This was an impression of peony in the water.
Wow.
With flies. And starting from here is an illustration of wall murals. So this is adaptation of an existing painting called Spring Concerto. In the original paintings, you have peonies over here, peonies over there, and birds and the butterflies. And this is a scale up of that peony paintings, and it's a traditional Chinese painting, Qingwazi painting. And apart from the botanical art and Chinese art, which I paint on silk and rice paper, I also have do oil paintings, and this is one of the oil paintings that I have with a yellow peonies. Again, this is sort of freestyle.
Yeah, quite stunning. It sort of caters for all tastes, really.
Yes, yes. And this one is another painting enlarged as a background. So the vase is big enough and to show the flowers in the background.
Oh, that's great. I really like that. It does give an extra bit of depth to the room.
This is quite Christmassy.
It is quite Christmassy too, yeah.
And then this one is to show you can tell this is one of my favorite flower, the Shongjuku, the tree peony. So we can enlarge it to make it a featured wall as well. So, yeah, so we will be launching different styles, wallpaper, murals officially next year.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I think we've probably just about bored our audience long enough. But like I said at the start, if you're looking for peonies, it's a perfect time of year to get them in. The new roots are coming in at the moment, and I've seen them and they're looking absolutely amazing. As is always the case when Billy finds good suppliers. There's a full range of types, sizes, shapes, colours, and scents, as we've discussed. Speak to Billy if you can't get on the website, or have a look at the catalogue. Billy or Cobus, who's the manager at Binny's, is more than capable of catering to anybody's needs, and they ship all around the country. They do a really good job of it. They are, I'm biased here, but I'm going to say it, they are the best suppliers of peony roots in the country. And the advice is always genuine and down to earth. So get them now, you get them straight into the ground. They will be absolutely fine in this cold, miserable weather. And to be honest, it's a great Christmas present for somebody you love.
Yes, yes. If you're looking for a peony-filled spring and summer garden, order them now.
Definitely, definitely.
Great.
Right, so what are you off to for the rest of the week?
So, later this week, I will be down south in Bewley, in the New Forest area. We will have a Christmas fair, artisan collective fair, and we will be showing gifts from the Peony Girl, including prints, original paintings, the Peony of the Month cards, silk scarves, and twillies. So if you are down south in Bewley, come and say hi. And if you do come, send me a DM beforehand, and I will prepare a little surprise for you.
Brilliant, brilliant. And also, just before we finish, if anybody's got any questions after this about peonies and how to grow them, or any issues they're having, feel free to either message through Instagram or send emails through to Binny's, and either Cobus or Billy will be more than happy to help you in any way they can. They'll be able to solve most problems for you.
Yes. Just one last thing. So I think we very much enjoy doing live with people and with our audience, and we will do a lot more Instagram live next year for our Peony of the Month chat show. One thing, as Heath mentioned, please do send us your questions relating to peonies, how to plant them, how to look after them. If you have questions about art, peony art, etc., just send us the messages. But also, from next year, we encourage you to send us your peonies. So you never know, your peonies may be featured and being painted next year as our Peony of the Month. And without revealing too much, we have lined up a special guest in January on the other side of the world to talk about a very special peony in the new year. So stay tuned, and thank you so much, everyone, to stay in the end. And we certainly also very much enjoying talking about this every month. And I will keep up doing more peonies and paint more peonies every month next year.
Brilliant. Well, everybody have a safe, happy, and joyous Christmas and New Year, and we shall hopefully see you next year.
Happy Christmas and Happy New Year, and see you in the new year.
Merry Christmas. Bye.
Bye.